Hi everyone, it is great to see you. Today is April 15th, which is a very important date. Today is the day that I put out the hummingbird food. So here in New England, they recommend in Zone 6B that April 15th is really when we should start feeding the hummingbirds again. Now, I don't really expect the hummingbirds to show up for another couple weeks. However, I will be ready. And sometimes you do get one or two passing through as they migrate north. So I'm going to begin by mixing up my hummingbird food. Your hummingbird food should really just be water and plain table sugar. So don't try something fancy, no honey, no brown sugar, no artificial sweeteners. You don't need to go and buy the fancy stuff that they sell in bottles. Don't bother to add the red food coloring. Your hummingbirds will just love the regular water and the table sugar. So when you read up on this, it's going to tell you that you should be mixing this with a 1-to-4 ratio. So that would be 1 cup of sugar to 4 cups of water, or 1 cup of water to a 1/4 cup of sugar. Now, since this is the time that the hummingbirds are migrating, you actually can up the amount of sugar a little bit to give them a little added energy. So in that case, you do a 1-to-3 ratio. So for every cup of water, add a 1/3 cup of sugar. I know that I need 2 cups of hummingbird food for the feeders, so I'm going to begin by using my Insta-Hot to add 2 cups of water here. Now you want to make sure that you're using hot water. The hot water will allow the sugar to dissolve completely. My Insta-Hot works well. You can just boil some water in your tea kettle. Here's my 2 cups water. Now notice I put the water in first, because if I put the sugar in first, I'd bring my level up to about here, and then when I added my water up to 2 cups, it actually wouldn't be a full 2 cups of water. So I want to make sure I have my full 2 cups of water. And I know for every cup, 1/3 cup gets scooped in of my sugar. So I have 2 cups, 2 scoops. Here we go. 1/3 and 2/3. And then you want to just stir that really well so that it dissolves completely. Only takes a few minutes. And of course, you don't want to rush and put this out. Even though I'm dying to get the hummingbird food out, give it a few minutes so that it gets to about room temperature. You don't want any scalded hummingbirds. Right now, that probably isn't a problem because the hummingbirds are not there. But when I do this in the summer, they will come right out to the feeder. And you want to make sure that they can have that food right away. I tend to leave my hummingbird food right up here to cool, so that's fine. Leave it there for 30 minutes, an hour. Just make sure you tell your family members what you're doing. When I first started doing this, my husband walked by and was like, "Why are you leaving water out? Can I just dump this?" And it's the special hummingbird food. Now he knows this is where I keep the hummingbird food. You can put it in your refrigerator. That's fine. A lot of people do that. I'm always afraid that I'll open the refrigerator quickly and dump it over and have a sticky mess. So I feel like it's a little safer out here. Okay, we look well dissolved. I'm going to put this in the cooling area. So we'll leave it there about 30 minutes, and then I'll come back and we will fill up the new hummingbird feeders. Each year I purchase new hummingbird feeders. It is just easier for me. This video and none of my videos are sponsored by anyone. Here's how I choose my hummingbird feeders. I go online to Amazon and I get the cheapest hummingbird feeder that is tall and that has an ant moat on top. So this is the same kind that I got last year. And let's see what we have here. So this particular piece is where you actually have the hummingbird food stored. It takes about a cup and a half of my liquid to fill this, which I know because I did it last year, and it's clear. So I think that some people want to add the red food coloring to their food because it's clear and they think it won't really attract the hummingbird. However, the rest of your feeder is going to be a real nice bright red, so it's fine just to leave it the regular clear color. You have two other parts that your hummingbird feeder usually comes with. This is a glass tube here. Sometimes you can get them in plastic, it doesn't matter. And then the feeding port here is plastic. It comes with a couple extra little flowers. So here are our feeding ports, which have these little yellow flowers on them, and these can be popped off and replaced. So if as you go through the season you notice that they're looking kind of black and mildewy, and you've tried cleaning it, they don't come off, I recommend that you do clean them and then just switch them out. You can buy like a little bag of these too at a local nursery. So here I have 5 different feeding ports. This is where you will attach your food, and the food will come down here and your hummingbirds can then access it this way. This particular feeder does not have any bee guards. Now, a bee guard, like a bee, is like a little cage here that goes over the feeding port. So the bees and the hornets and the wasps can't get in and get to the sweet liquid. I haven't really had trouble with bees until late in the season. So often the feeders that I start with just have open ports here. I do have a downy woodpecker that likes this sometimes, but I find that actually very entertaining. So here we have, little perching stations, and that's where they will come to feed. Now the last part that you're going to find in here is the top of your feeder. That will allow it to hang somewhere, and this is important to me. So this particular top has this divot in here, and this is an ant moat. So you will find that ants can find these. They love the sugar water, and they will climb up and into your feeder, and then you'll see a whole bunch of dead ants floating around, and it's just really gross, and probably your hummingbirds don't really like it either. So if you get an ant moat, you can add some plain water. Make sure it's just your regular tap water, not the sugar water, because your ants would be attracted to that. And once you put your hummingbird feeder up, you just fill that part with your water, and it will keep the ants from being able to get into the feeder. They either will drown or they'll be smart enough to turn around and not try to cross the ant moat. The ant moat will evaporate about every 2 days in the hot sun. So even though maybe you're not changing it every 2 days, for the water inside, you do need to go back out and fill up your ant moat. Okay, a few more minutes and we'll be able to get these outside. Hi everyone, we're back and the bird food has cooled down here, so we are all set to fill up the hummingbird feeders and take them outside. Real quickly, I'm just going to divide up my hummingbird food. I try to keep it about equal, but it doesn't really matter. Make sure you screw these on tight enough that you're not going to leak around the edge, and then turn it up quickly. Now when I switch these after they've been outside once, I usually do this part outside because inevitably I do get some sugar water everywhere. Okay, here we go. Excellent. And then we just screw on our ant moat. And we're all set to take these outside. Here we go.